Dear colleagues, I would like to start a meeting. The language regime, you can speak and listen in French, German, English, Italian, Spanish, Greek, Polish, Slovak, and Bulgarian. And you can speak but not listen to Czech and Croatian. So I hope we will manage it with this language regime, and I thank right now already for the interpretations because I am always forgetting it at the end of the meeting. First of all, I would like to adapt the draft agenda. Do you agree with this? Okay. Then I would like to approve the minutes of the 112 CCMI meeting, which has been held on the 6th of June. Adapted, as I see no reactions. And the third point is we would like to inform you, almost delegates, because you don't have this information right now, that there is already approved calendar for 2025. I asked the Secretariat to show it on the screen, so you can see that we will have 8 meetings. Yeah, you can see it. So it's the 16th of January, 6th of March, 11th of April, 4th of June, 10th of July, 25th of November, and 16th of December. I would like to thank the Secretariat for really very good work, because we have been trying to put the meetings of CCMI so that we can always be in line with ESC plenary meetings, and we can adapt our opinions in a due time. Now, many of you are probably wondering why Pietro is not sitting next to me, and this is, of course, connected with Blue Deal. The update on a Blue Deal is as follows. We see that and this is really addressing the innovative aspect of the water industry that's important for us, clean tech and water infrastructure. As a CCMI, we are meeting, really working on this topic. We have a meeting with different delegations, and just recently, Pietro has met a delegation from Finnish ministries, and also we are in discussion and taking part on different activities of the Polish stakeholders. And exactly that's why Pietro is today not here, because he has been asked to speak at the Blue Deal Congress in Warsaw. So Pietro is representing CCMI there, and I think that's really a big achievement as well. We have been also informed that there is a European citizen initiatives to safeguard water resilience and water quality. This is going to be launched. And what's very important, and in the first sentences of this initiative, the EU Blue Deal is mentioning, is also a part of the attachment, and it really gives us big recognition of ESC input, so the whole will still have quite a good contact and cooperation with this group in the European Parliament, and we are also already trying to get in contact with different other groups like ENVI chair, and also with the commissioners. During the commissioners hearing, we want to put emphasis on the Blue Deal. We also organize events and different activities on Blue Deal as a CCMI. For instance, the EU Consumer Day on the 9th of December, where we will focus on water from the consumer perspective. This was the update on Blue Deal. Let me go further for the cyber workshop. This will take during the Cyber Security Days, will be held from the 2nd to 4th of October, and we as the European Economic and Social Committee, together with the Committee of Regions, have been asked to make some kind of kick-off events of the Cyber Security Month, and this will be held here in our premises. We will nominate, there will be a delegation of ESC and plus one delegate. And during that opening kick-off event, we will also have a session. We will be a part of the opening session where our president, Delotto, will, together with INT president and representative of DG Connect, make these statements. A part of this, and that's also very important, is that there will be a workshop during these cybersecurity weeks, which will, the name of the workshop will be Healthcare Cybersecurity, which will be under the control of CCMI, and also TEN and SOC session express they wish to participate at this workshop, and I am sure it will be a big success as well. Another sector we are right now, I would like to give you an update, is the construction sector, on construction industry. You may know that we have got a request from Vice President Procescanu to organize a high-level dialogue on construction industry on the 4th of November. You know, we have a CCMI meeting on the 5th of November, so it will be a day before. There will be high-level political representatives from the European Commission, European Parliament, and social partners. There will be a delegation of ESC, like 20 to 25 stakeholders all together. And what we have been thinking, because we are not able to secure the participation of the CCMI members and delegates on this high-level dialogue, which will be in a more compact group. What we have been thinking in our bureau meeting, during our bureau meeting, that in March maybe we will organize really a conference on construction and really make a big dialogue within our group. So I think this is okay for you. And one of the most information I have to deliver to you today, it's the call of own initiative opinions for 2025. I suppose yesterday during your group meetings you have got already this information. And just to let you know that ESC Bureau has established a new methodology and timeline how to deal with this new call. And you will get it in written from the Secretariat, from Pietro, in a letter where it will be very clear, explain how to send to your own initiative opinions or the proposals, the drafts. And the deadline to send back the form of these new OIOs will be the 14th of October, 5 p.m. So I'm repeating, if you want to send OIOs, new OIOs for 2025, please do it latest till the 14th of October, 5 p.m. There will be no expectation. There will be no other no other OIOs which will come later will be not accepted from our side. I have to pinpoint that this new OIOs proposal has to be really considered ESC priorities and political guidelines of CCMI. Please do not forget it. And also, we would like to encourage you to take in account the new Commission's proposal guidelines for 2024 till 2029. We would like really to get a new inspiring ideas to be proactive, so really to react to what we are missing maybe there. And also good inspiration could be Letta and Draghi reports where we see what we are missing there or what we want to really react. Also, after the really good outcome of the umbrella opinion on a blue deal, as I have been mentioning already on the beginning of this meeting, ESC decided we are going to make another umbrella opinion. So that means there will be one topic, and the topic has been will be coordinated by the eco section. It will be focusing on different aspects of cost of living crisis, and we as CCMI, as all other sections, we have to make our own initiative opinion, which will target this topic on cost of living crisis. So if you have any kind of idea how industry can influence and can be connected with cost of living crisis, please send this as OIO's proposal as well to the Secretariat, and we will, as Bureau, we will consider which one could be really passing inside of this umbrella opinion. Today, we are coming to the today meeting. We will adopt 3 opinions. It will be the opinion CCMI 228, EU from waste plants to rescue plants, CCMI 237, resource plants, sorry, the Clean Transition Dialogue, stock taking, and CCMI 230, Industry 5.0, how to make it happen. And also we have a last minute addition to our agenda. Our CCMI member, Florian Marin, will present to us the net own initiative opinion on comprehensive strategy for biodiversity at COP16, bringing all sectors together for a common goal. So I will give Florian, who has been a president of this NAT study group, then the word before the end of this morning session to inform us a little bit about this work. So not to lose the time, I will say if you have any remarks, if not, questions, I will say we can go very quickly to the adoption of the first draft opinion, and it's CCMI 228, and I would like to ask rapporteur and co-rapporteur, so rapporteur Japanis Anastasis and co-rapporteur Pinter Michal to come here in the front and to present their opinion. Okay, so if I understood it well, this opinion is focusing on change of the paradigm from linear product to waste thinking to waste to reduce approach. But I think this is really very general sentence, and you have been saying even more in your opinion. There have been 2 study groups meetings, and you have also had a fruitful expert hearing on this issue. So I would like now to ask Anastasis to present us the opinion, and then I will give word to Michal.
Thank you, Mrs. Chairman. Please, colleagues, put in your headphones. I speak in my mother language, Greek. Thank you very much. Αγαπητά μέλη και αντιπροσώποι, οφείλω να πω ότι ήταν με ιδιαίτερη χαρά που εργάστηκα ως εισηγητής για την γνωμοδότηση αυτή της ΟΑΚΕ, CCMI 228, από τις εγκαταστάσεις παραγωγής απορριμμάτων αποβλήτων στις εγκαταστάσεις παραγωγής πόρων. Μαζί με τον συνεισηγητή μου, τους συμβούλους μας, τα μέλη και τους εκπροσώπους της ομάδας μελέτης προσπαθήσαμε να φέρουμε μπροστά σας μια ολοκληρωμένη γνωμοδότηση με πολλές προτάσεις και συστάσεις που θα είναι πολύ σημαντικές στα ευρωπαϊκά θεσμικά όργανα για μελλοντικές εξελίξεις πολιτικής που θα αποφασίσουν. Ουσιαστικά αυτή η γνωμοδότηση πρωτοβουλίας επικεντρώνεται στη βελτίωση της διαχείρισης των απορριμμάτων στην Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση. Οι μονάδες παραγωγής πόρων μπορούν να δημιουργήσουν οικονομικές ευκαιρίες, δημιουργώντας έσοδα από την πώληση ανακτημένων υλικών, την παραγωγή ενέργειας και δημιουργώντας θέσεις εργασίας στον τομέα της ανακύκλωσης και της ανάκτησης πόρων. Καθώς ο πληθυσμός μας ανεβαίνει και αυξάνει, μαζί με την αστικοποίηση, την εκβιομηχάνηση και την οικονομική ανάπτυξη, αντιμετωπίζουμε αυξανόμενη παραγωγή αποβλήτων απορριμμάτων. Υπενθυμίζω ότι για την επίτευξη του στόχου βιώσιμης ανάπτυξης, η Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση και τα κράτη-μέλη πρέπει να υιοθετήσουν πρακτικές βιώσιμης διαχείρισης αποβλήτων που δίνουν προτεραιότητα στην πρόληψη των αποβλήτων και ενισχύουν την επαναχρησιμοποίησή τους. Αυτό φυσικά απαιτεί συλλογική προσπάθεια από τις επιχειρήσεις, τις κυβερνήσεις και τους πολίτες, έτσι ώστε να απομακρυνθούν από αυτήν την παραδοσιακή γραμμική νοοτροπία που είχαν στο μυαλό τους από το προϊόν στα απόβλητα και να υιοθετήσουν, να γίνει κουλτούρα δηλαδή στην καθημερινότητά τους, τις προσεγγίσεις από τα απόβλητα σε πόρους. Πιστεύουμε ότι είναι ζωτικής σημασίας να δοθεί προτεραιότητα στις συζητήσεις σε επίπεδο Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης για τη διαχείριση των απορριμμάτων, αποβλήτων και να υιοθετηθεί μια αναθεωρημένη στρατηγική που προωθεί καινοτόμα έργα που επικεντρώνεται στη βελτίωση της ανακύκλωσης και στην ανάκτηση πόρων με ταυτόχρονη μείωση των χωματερών. Ως εκ τούτου, εισηγούμαστε ότι είναι απαραίτητο να υποστηριχτεί ο κλάδος προέχοντας αλλά και με στοχευμένους οικονομικούς πόρους για την έρευνα και την ανάπτυξη. Να γίνουν πιλωτικά έργα για την ανάπτυξη τεχνολογιών εχμής σε μονάδες ανάκτησης πόρων. Επιπλέον εισηγούμαστε ότι πρέπει να διαχειριζόμαστε αποτελεσματικά τα διασυνοριακά απόβλητα και να ρυθμίσουμε ως βασική πρώτη ύλη θεσπίζοντας κατάλληλα πρότυπα βάσει του REACH και των κριτηρίων για το τέλος των αποβλήτων. Αυτό θα οδηγήσει στην καινοτομία και θα τονώσει τις αγορές δευτερογενών υλών. Θεωρούμε δε ότι η εποπτεία σε επίπεδο Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης είναι απαραίτητη για την αντιμετώπιση των παραβιάσεων και τον εξωθρολογισμό της αλυσίδας προϊόντων για μελλοντικές επενδύσεις. Μέσα από τη γνωμοδότηση μας προτρέπουμε την εφαρμογή ισχυρότερων πολιτικών της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης και των εθνικών πολιτικών επίσης για τη βελτίωση της συλλογής απορριμμάτων αποβλήτων, την επένδυση σε προηγμένες τεχνολογίες διαλογής, την επιβολή κανονισμών, τη θέσπιση εναρμονισμένων προστίμων για την καταπολέμηση των παράνομων δραστηριοτήτων των αποβλήτων, τη θέσπιση τέλους ρύπανσης για την υποστήριξη της ανακύκλωσης και την τυποποίηση των ανεκτημένων υλικών. Η Ενώση πρέπει για να διασφαλίσει το θεμιτόν ανταγωνισμό μέσα από παρθένων και δευτερογενών υλικών. Είναι γεγονός ότι διαθέτουμε τεχνολογίες όπως είναι τα απόβλητα σε νερό, απόβλητα σε υδρογόνο, απόβλητα σε καύσιμα και επαναχρησιμοποίηση της τέφρας που μπορούν να μετατρέψουν τη διαχείριση αποβλήτων σε μια προσέγγιση εστιασμένη στους πόρους και να προωθήσουν τη βιομηχανική συμβίωση. Για να προωθήσουμε αυτή τη στροφή, αυτή την αλλαγή, ζητάμε και εισηγούμαστε υποστήριξη για καινοτόμες μεθόδους ανάπτυξης και ανάκτησης, ισχυρές αγορές για ανακτημένα υλικά και κανονισμούς που δίνουν προτεραιότητα στην παραγωγή δευτερογενούς υλικού υψηλής ποιότητας έναντι της μη βιώσιμης απόρριψης. Ένας άλλος σημαντικός παράγοντας για εμάς, τον οποίο επισημάνουμε, είναι να εξασφαλίσουμε μεγαλύτερα οικονομικά κίνητρα για την ανάπτυξη και την υιοθέτηση καινοτόμων τεχνολογιών, όπως είναι το διαδίκτυο των πραγμάτων, τα ρομπότ τεχνικής νοημοσύνης, το blockchain και οι προηγουμένες μεθόδοι ανακύκλωσης. Πάντα φυσικά με ταυτόχρονη τήρηση της ιεραρχίας των αποβλήτων. Γι' αυτό εισηγούμαστε μέσα από την γνωμοδότησή μας την επέκταση της χρηματοδότησης της Ευρωπαϊκής Τράπεζας Επενδύσεως για την διαχείριση αποβλήτων, ώστε να δοθεί προτεραιότητα στις επενδύσεις για την ολοκληρωμένη ανάκτηση πόρων. Όσον αφορά τώρα τα κοινωνικά ζητήματα, γνωρίζουμε την ανάγκη αναβάθμισης και πανεδίκευσης των εργαζομένων στη βιομηχανία των αποβλήτων απορρίτων, καθώς οι πράσινοι και ψηφιακοί μετασχηματισμοί αναδιαμορφώνουν τον τομέα. Οι αυξανόμενες επενδύσεις στο ανθρώπινο κεφάλαιο είναι ουσιαστικής σημασίας και οι κοινωνικοί εταίροι πρέπει να συμμετέχουν για την αντιμετώπιση των προκλήσεων και την εξέβρεση λύσεων για τους εργαζομένους. Επιπλέον πιστεύουμε στην προώθηση και τη χρηματοδότηση ενημερωτικών εκστρατιών για την εκπαίδευση των πολιτών της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης σχετικά με την πρόληψη των αποβλήτων για να αλλάξει και να προσθεθεί μια καλύτερη κουλτούρα, την ευθύνη του παραγωγού και την προστασία του περιβάλλοντος, αλλά και την προώθηση κρίσιμων αλλαγών συμπεριφοράς προς καλύτερη διαχείριση και ανακύκλωση απορριμμάτων. Τέλος, σύμφωνα με τις προτεραιότητες της Γαλάζιας Συμφωνίας της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης που προωθούνται από την Ευρωπαϊκή Οικονομική και Κοινωνική Επιτροπή, υποστηρίζουμε στεναρά και εισηγούμαστε τη μεγιστοποίηση την ανάγκη θρεπτικών ουσιών απολύμματα, λιματολάσπη και άλλες πηγές μέσω βέλτιστων πρακτικών επεξεργασίας, ανακύκλωσης και τεχνικών ανάκτησης πόρων για τη σύλληψη πολύτιμων ορυκτών. Ήταν μια γενική αναφορά για την γνωμοδότηση μας που έχετε μπροστά σας και οφείλω να πω ότι πρέπει να ευχαριστήσω ιδιαιτέρως τον συνεισηγητή μου, τον κύριο Πίτερ, και τους συμβούλους μας, ειδικά τον κύριο Πίτερ για τις δυνατότητες, τις γνώσεις τις οποίες έχει, αλλά και το ότι πρόσθεσε δυναμικά το δικό του παρόν σε αυτή την γνωμοδότηση. Οι συμβούλοι μας δυστυχώς δεν είναι παρόντες λόγω των αποφάσεων που πήραμε και αυτό με λυπεί ιδιαίτερα. Το ότι κάναν αρκετή δουλειά και αυτοί και είναι κρίμα που δεν είναι εδώ στο τμήμα. Παράλληλα να ευχαριστήσω και τους αντιπροσώπους και τα μέλη της ομάδας μελέτης, αλλά και ιδιαίτερα τη γραμματεία για την πολύτιμη βοήθειά τους. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you so much. Mikhail, you want to take the floor?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the excellent collaboration and valuable input on this opinion. I also would like to extend my appreciations to the advisors who, as Tassos said, can unfortunately not be here, but also to all study group members for their ongoing efforts. Let me also, from my point of view, touch upon some key points that are central to this opinion. Since the Industrial Revolution, we were exploited natural resources as if they were infinite, mining raw materials, using fresh water and depleting land as though they would never run out. We now understand that this is not the case. Resources are finite, and if we continue on this path, waste will eventually be our primary source of raw materials as virgin reserves become inaccessible. This is why the circular economy is not just an option, but it's a necessity. Currently, our view of waste, as we already discussed, is linear. We discard it. But in reality, waste is a resource that we've yet to harness. By failing to adopt the circular approach, we are losing valuable materials that could be recovered and reused. In our opinion, we offer actionable recommendation for EU institutions and stakeholders to transform waste management systems into circular resource hubs. We call for EU-wide harmonization of standards for recovered materials to ensure equal treatment of virgin and secondary materials and to eliminate regulatory barriers that prevent the use of recycled materials such as nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and recovered metals. Transitioning to fully circular waste management also requires significant investment in new technologies, whether it's sorting systems, waste to hydrogen, waste to fuels, and of course in human capital. Workers in the waste industry will not only need to adapt, they need to upskill and reskill to meet the demands of these technological advancements. Their skills will evolve to include digital and green competencies, as well as specialized waste management knowledge. Local and regional governments are key to driving innovation in waste management. Experts agree that circularity begins at local level and can scale to regional, national, and global levels. Therefore, we strongly recommend supporting municipal governments and empowering local authorities to manage resources effectively, ensuring the success of circular initiatives. To sum up, because I think Tasso said a lot and I don't want to repeat what has been already said, but let me say the own initiative opinion we are presenting today proposes concrete policy steps to transform the EU from a linear to a circular waste economy, recognizing waste as a valuable resource. As CCMI, we are uniquely positioned to influence the policies that will shape the green and circular transition. Therefore, I kindly urge you to support this opinion, which has been carefully crafted and is critical to the future of of Europe's sustainability journey. Thank you in advance for your support.
Děkuji, Michal. There is nobody present from the Commission today, so I would like to open the general debate, so you can ask for the word with the button on your table. Okay, so I am now closing the possibility, and we are starting with the first one. It's Florian. Please take the floor.
Thank you so much, dear President. I will be brief. Thank you for your activity during the workshop, because I'm here. I was quite impressed about our good collaboration, about our understanding and our synergy. So this is an opinion which is truly illustrating a synergical approach between the groups. So from my perspective, it is a very good opinion, and I'm praying you to vote in favor. Thank you so much, Japanis. Thank you so much, Pinto.
Thank you, Florian. Now, Antonello Pezzini.
Ecco, grazie Presidente. Ho apprezzato molto questo parere perché è attuale. Da quando nel dicembre del 2015 uscì il famoso COM 614 della Commissione europea, l'anello mancante dell'economia circolare, questo comitato ha espresso almeno 8 pareri sull'argomento. E devo dire, in alcuni sono stato anche relatore con l'OANA sulla termovalorizzazione, eccetera, e devo dire che è molto coerente questo parere che oggi noi stiamo analizzando con quanto abbiamo scritto in passato. Aggiunge qualcosa di nuovo che a me fa molto piacere. Per esempio la ricerca adesso dell'idrogeno attraverso i rifiuti, che sono le nuove frontiere nelle quali noi ci stiamo confrontando oggi che siamo usciti dal sonno del petrolio. Anche il fatto di sostenere il passaggio tra il rifiuto, il biogas e il biometano, argomento che sta diventando importante nella discussione nostra, soprattutto di alcuni paesi europei, come il mio, l'Italia, sul discorso del 2035, quando noi non vogliamo che il motore a combustione interna cessi di esistere, ma cessi di esistere chi alimenta questo motore, cioè il petrolio, e sia sostituito da biometano, da e-fuel o da altri. Quindi devo dire che do il mio pieno appoggio a questo vostro lavoro, perché ha attualizzato e ammodernato con le nuove scoperte quanto sto comitato ha fatto in tutti questi anni sull'economia circolare. Grazie Presidente.
Thank you, Antonello. Now, Stefan.
Oui, merci, Président. Alors, pendant 15 ans, j'étais le directeur des relations européennes du groupe Veolia Environnement, dont le métier central est effectivement le recyclage des déchets. L'eau aussi, mais les déchets. Et il faut bien reconnaître que les réglementations européennes ont été, si je puis le dire, une sorte d'aubaine pour ce type de société, parce que ça a créé des marchés qui n'existaient pas avant. Néanmoins, à partir d'un certain niveau de recyclage, on arrive au bout des technologies et on est obligé de mettre les déchets en décharge. Donc j'approuve totalement le point 1.7 qui explique qu'il faut des incitations financières au développement et à l'adaptation des technologies innovantes. Mais même pour les décharges, on avait mis aussi au point des systèmes qui récupéraient notamment le méthane, comme ça a été dit tout à l'heure par Antonello Pezzini, et qui permettait, avec la coopération de certaines communes, par exemple, de faire fonctionner le chauffage urbain ou l'éclairage public. Et donc, il y a un moment où on arrive au déchet ultime qu'on ne peut plus retraiter. Il faut en être aussi conscient, quels que soient les efforts qu'on puisse faire pour les retraiter.
Thank you. Now, Riet Tedder.
Thank you for giving me the floor. I was not a member of the study group, but I read this opinion with great interest, and I'm very glad that this opinion exists. I would like to thank you, both the rapporteur and co-rapporteur. But I have a question. If you are talking about the type of waste which is covered with this opinion, is the textile waste also included, or what do you think? Because the problems what we have in textile waste, I couldn't figure it out how it could be solved in those methods what was described here in this opinion. So just as a general question from my side, but otherwise it's very, very good text, and I'm very happy to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Guido?
Good morning, everyone. Mikael and Tazos, you said it yourself, is a well-crafted document and comprehensive, and I couldn't agree more, so congratulations. I just have to tell you a little story, and it's inspiring. So in Belgium, we used to produce bricks in the past. We had many brick factories. They have all closed in the meantime, all taken over by multinational companies, but some are still remaining, a couple of them. And these are family businesses. And one of these companies, one of their engineers has been working on a process to produce CO2 negative bricks. Normally for producing bricks you need gas, you need kilns, it's CO2 producing. So what are they doing? They bring in slag from the steel industry. They use this as a raw material instead of clay, so no virgin materials will be used. And then they import also CO2. They start to use CO2 also from the steel industry, and they have constructed a new factory where they put together the CO2 and the slag in a room to harden the material by process of carbonation, and then the final product is a negative CO2 brick. So if one simple family business can do such a process without too much support, then in my opinion, and I think much more is possible. And you mentioned all these things, waste to water, waste to hydrogen, waste to fuels. So I think there is quite a lot of low-hanging fruit possible by means of for industrial symbiosis. And so the last circle economy action plan from the Commission, it was already back in 2000, 5 years ago, 2020. So it's high time that we have a new circle economy action plan. So, and I think it's in the mission letters of the new Commission that they have to do it, but I think there's plenty of progress possible, but we have to exploit all these possibilities. Just on basis of what I conclude from one simple example of a simple company that was making, and the factory has started up and they are selling like hell. So it's really demand for this product. So it must be not too expensive. I don't know the prices, but so I think we have a long way to go still in regarding industrial symbiosis. It's much more possible than we think.
Thank you, Guido. And now Zoe.
Thank you, Chair. I'm taking the floor because as a member of the study group, I had an opportunity to appreciate how this opinion in its details really is very, very relevant and at the core of many issues we're discussing today, starting from the green economy, clean cities, energy. I mean, it has a tremendous actual interest. We had a very, very good cooperation in the study group. I hereby congratulate once more my colleague Tassos and the co-rapporteur, and I invite you all to support this opinion that is of crucial importance, not only in a global industrial context, but also to our everyday lives. Thank you.
Thank you. I suppose Anastasis and Michal would like to react. Okay.
Again, I speak in Greek, please. Ξέρετε, όταν κάνετε μια γνωμοδότηση, εκτός το ότι πρέπει να υπάρχει και μια χημεία με το συνεισηγητή και τα μέλη, υπάρχει μια κούραση, μια δουλειά, μια ταλαιπωρία, συνήθως 3 μήνες, 4 μήνες, μέσα από τις 2 συναντήσεις, τις οποίες έχουμε της Επιτροπής Μελέτης, τροπολογίες που μπορεί να έρθουν, προσπαθείς να καλύψεις όλο το φάσμα και των 3 γκρουπ το οποίο έχουμε ως Ευρωπαϊκή Οικονομική Κοινωνική Επιτροπή, από τους εργοδότες, τους εργαζόμενους, τα διάφορα συμφέροντα. Όταν όμως έρχεσαι εδώ μέσα από αυτή την κούραση στο τμήμα και ακούς τόσο καλά λόγια από όλους σας, ένα μεγάλο ευχαριστώ και ειδικά συγκινούμε όταν ακούω ειδικά από τον Αντωνέλο και τον Στέφαν, τον οποίο έχουν τρομερή εμπειρία. Το να λένε καλά λόγια είναι μια ηθική ικανοποίηση για μένα. Ότι κάτι κάναμε και εμείς, βάλαμε ένα μικρό λιθαράκι, μια μικρή πετρίτσα θετική προς τα πάνω. Δεν έχω περισσότερα να πω, ένα μεγάλο ευχαριστώ για τα καλά σας λόγια. Να σχολιάσω αυτό της κυρίας Στέντερ όσον αφορά για το θέμα της κλωστοεφαντουργίας. Δεν στοχεύσαμε κλωστοεφαντουργία γιατί μια γνωμοδότηση κάνει μια γενική πολιτική. Μια πολιτική που εισηγείται στα ευρωπαϊκά θεσμικά όργανα. Δεν περιοριζόμαστε σε κλάδους, εκτός αν η γνωμοδότηση είναι ειδικά για αυτό τον κλάδο. Άρα εδώ κάναμε μια πολιτική γενική που εισηγούμαστε και κάνουμε αρκετές εισηγήσεις. Γι' αυτό αν με ακούσατε στην αρχή είπα ότι αυτές οι εισηγήσεις είναι αυτές που θα βασιστούν τα θεσμικά ευρωπαϊκά όργανα για να τροποποιήσουν πολιτικές στο μέλλον. Τώρα για την κλωστοεφαντουργία δεν γνωρίζω και ιδιαίτερα από το μέλλον γιατί δεν έχω μια εμπειρία για να λέω αλήθειες. Όμως αυτή είναι η ιδέα της ίδιας της νομοδότησης. Ότι είναι γενικές πολιτικές, σε αυτό το δρόμο πρέπει να γίνουν, αυτή είναι η ανάπτυξη και αυτά πρέπει να κάνουμε για το μέλλον. Ευχαριστώ κυρία Πρόεδρε και ξανά ευχαριστώ όλους σας για τα καλά σας λόγια.
Thank you, Michal.
Well, thank you, Florian, Antonello, Stefan, Reid, Guido, and Zoe. Very nice words. Thank you for that, also for the example. As regards the textile, of course, textile is also a valuable source of waste which can be treated and sorted using a combination of mechanical or chemical processes, whether it's fiber separation or shredding and respinning. Textile can also be recycled textile to textile in a closed loop system. There are advanced recycling techniques allowing textile to be broken down and directly reused in new textile production, creating a closed loop system that reduces waste significantly. Textile, of course, as we are highlighting in the opinion for other materials, can be used for waste to energy methodology in cases where textile waste cannot be recycled or reused. It can be processed in waste to energy plants to recover energy, which is also important. Again, as we said, waste is a valuable resource. Europe cannot manage any transition without collecting and reusing waste. You know, we've been developing an opinion on critical raw materials before. We all know how Europe is dependent, and waste will play, because of these reasons, a big role in the future. Again, thank you very much for your support, and I hope it will be also reflected in your voting. Thank you.
Thank you, Michal. Now we will proceed to improvement of this own initiative opinion, and I would like to ask the delegates as the first one to vote. Delegates. Only to delegates now.
He's a delegate.
And plus one vote for Michal. He has not his card here. Okay, so I close for delegates. Okay. 27, 27. And now I'm opening for 28, 28, 28. And now I'm opening for the members. So please, members, vote. Doesn't work. Okay. Okay, I'm closing the voting now. 27, 27. So 28, 28. The same number. It's really. So. Okay, passed. We have the same numbers of delegates and members, it seems like. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Now we can go to the adoption of CCMI 237. It's the Clean Transition Dialogue stock taking. I would like to ask Konstantinos Diamantourou and John Bryan to come here to sit next to me. We know that the Clean Transition Dialogues were announced by von der Leyen in 2023 to discuss with European industry and social partners how to strengthen the implementation of the European Green Deal, contributing to reinforced industrial approach. There have been 9 Clean Transition Dialogues till now, and also there have been 2 study groups of this OIO, and there have been also a hearing. So now I would like to give the words to the rapporteur and to the rapporteur.
Thank you very much, President, and good morning to everyone. I'll make a brief introduction before passing on to the co-rapporteur. I mean, first of all, really to thank the President of the study group and all the members and the co-rapporteur, because I felt we worked under a very tight timetable, and despite that fact, we managed what I feel is a very good opinion in a very short time frame, and this not only reflects the convergence of views we had between the 3 groups, which I think is a very positive sign, but also the very good spirit of cooperation which prevailed. To get a bit into the logic of our opinion, when we read the communication on the Clean Transition Dialogues, we kind of all agreed that if you were someone not living in the EU and not really knowing what's going on, you would think that more or less everything is going kind of okay, so we're on the right path. We need in a way to do some fine-tuning, but with a few kind of minor fine-tuning, we would actually find ourselves on the path to sustainable competitiveness. And when we discussed this amongst the group, we kind of actually felt that the situation, unfortunately, is a lot more pessimistic. And we're not so optimistic as the opinion and the conclusions of this communication. So we kind of felt it was our obligation to kind of acknowledge what we feel is the reality on the ground, and which is actually in the in the conclusions, and I've actually taken this word for word from the opinion, is that while everyone in the EAC fully supports the European Green Deal, we actually believe that aspects of the policy have actually had negative repercussions for employment, competitiveness, and actually have increased global emissions through carbon leakage. So this is one of the main things. And taking that logic, we wanted in a way to say that, yes, we are faced with a deindustrialization. If we look at what's happening, the Audi plant closing in Belgium, Volkswagen is thinking of actually shutting down, which would be unthinkable. I mean, Volkswagen shutting plants in Germany. So what we kind of felt we need to somehow put, proposals which would allow us to decarbonize, but actually while preserving our industry and actually increasing employment and our economic security, and so actually to get this balance right. And actually a lot of the things I felt we've had this opinion have been also reflected to some extent also with the letter report before, but actually the Draghi report actually says a lot of the things we have said. So this was just to get into the philosophy of the opinion, and then I'm just going to mention a few of the recommendations we have put down, which, for example, is nothing new, that we need much faster permitting times, because it's very, very difficult, and this slows down our economic transition. To have a more accurate approach to actually reaching our climate targets, which means not only looking at the production emissions, but also looking at consumption emissions, because this will give you because if we're losing factories in Europe and then outsourcing that and importing it, it seems that we're actually decreasing our emissions. But because we're actually importing from outside, which has a much higher carbon intensity, we're actually increasing to a large extent. Stronger protection, for European companies against carbon leakage, until also includes CBAM, which, while in principle sounds like a good idea, has no export solution. So please don't implement this unless we find a solution for exports and adequate anti-circumvention. Significant reduction in bureaucracy and reporting requirements. We all agree this is absolutely necessary, and it's good to see that the Commission is acknowledging this more and more. A just transition framework to deliver large-scale reskilling for workers. This is crucial. This is actually one of the very big highlights of the Draghi report, the skills. And I would just leave it there and pass it on to the co-rapporteur to complement. Thank you, John.
Thank you, President. And again, I want to start by thanking the rapporteur, the President, and the study group, because as the rapporteur said, there was an excellent consensus. We were all on the one page that what we want to do is protect competitiveness, protect employment, and reduce carbon leakage, because we are concerned that the Green Deal has huge advantages for the planet, but if Europe falls behind on competitiveness, it's no good to let jobs drift out of Europe, to let industry drift out of Europe. And there's huge examples, and as the rapporteur already highlighted, the idea that Volkswagen would look at closing plants has to be a wake-up call for us all. And the Draghi report and the Letty report, and I understand the committee is going to do much more detailed work on that, but certainly we took a stab. And one of the problems is 18,000 characters, and I know people here will tell us we left out things, but we made an effort at highlighting some of the problems, and the rapporteur has already covered them. One of the big areas and this is covered in both Draghi and a huge need for investment in infrastructure. We're well aware that in Europe that there hasn't been proper investment in the grid for many years. The population of the world is increasing, industry is increasing, and certain industries are very high energy use. If we want to stay at the center of the digital economy, the grid and water are essential, and the President already spoke about the Blue Deal. Investment in water, investment in storage, investment in capture, because data centers require so much water, so much electricity, and with AI they require an awful lot more. The rapporteur very much highlighted one of the areas that I personally see the permitting or planning permission. Investment should be something that a project it comes, but unfortunately in most countries in Europe, by the time you get a project through planning, permitting, it can take 5-10 years, and that is murdering investment in offshore energy, in particular wind farms and that. and then the investment hasn't been made in ports and that. So we're saying, one, there needs to be a huge increase in investment in the grid, in water, across the board. But certainly we have to look at permitting some sort of a time scale, that the idea that someone has got a project 5 or 6 years and then someone takes a judicial review and holds it up for another 5 or 6 years at no cost to them. There should be a cost on both sides in anything. There are huge opportunities in the green economy, in aviation, ship and road haulage, and tier 3, tier 4 engines have much lower emissions. So we don't have to do away with fossil fuels, but we have to reduce them. So more investment in public transport, more investment in the rail system and that. And one of the areas we also were very concerned about is self-sufficiency in energy and critical raw materials. So basically we're saying there has to be investment, a speeding up in permitting, and a look at maintaining employment. And the rapporteur already highlighted the need for a just transition, because if we're going to lose some employment, there has to be investment in retraining, reskilling. But I believe a lot of those jobs can be protected with a serious investment. Thank you, President.
Thank you, Brian. Mr. Brian. Now I would like to give the word to David Scheffer. He is coming from European Green Deal Unit of Secretariat General.
Yes, dear President, thank you very much for giving me the word. I'm happy to speak on behalf of the Commission to address the committee. As you set out in your introductory remarks, it's indeed a very important communication. It follows the Clean Transition Dialogues, the 9 dialogues held by the President with industry leaders and social partners to discuss the future of European industry. And it sets out, it kind of prepares the policy priorities of the European Commission, with many actions also being underway. We've also seen the traces in the political guidelines, the Clean Industrial Deal, first and foremost, the Industry Decarbonization Accelerator Act, for example, measures to lower energy prices, as well as measures to unlock investment. So a lot of what the opinion is calling for is already, let's say, in the pipeline, where the new Commission will take measures in order to advance actions in these areas. Therefore, it's a very relevant opinion. We look forward to receiving it. I thank the committee also for the process, for the good cooperation that we had in the study group meetings. We very much appreciated this. There's one comment we would like to make on the opinion. So overall, we find it a very balanced opinion, and as mentioned, we look forward to receiving it. It refers to recommendation 1.2, which also the rapporteur just mentioned, where it is stated that the European Green Deal has increased global emissions through carbon leakage. That is a statement the Commission cannot agree with. We discussed this in the study group already. We have estimations of carbon leakage, so we broadly know the quantity of it. The way we read this statement here, we have certain savings in the EU of emissions, but even higher emissions elsewhere triggered by this policy. So we have a negative net balance of the European Green Deal, and we think that's a difficult statement to make. I mentioned the estimations we have. You can take the International Monetary Fund, for example, who estimates carbon leakage in the EU is around 15%. That is the EU 15 due to data limitations. They estimate EU 27 is even lower due to the bigger territory. You have other studies that estimate carbon leakages at the lower bound some 7-8%, the upper bound some 20-22%. In any case, we are far from being above 100%. So this is a statement the Commission does not agree with, and this is something we would like to signal. If the language would not have this notion of higher aggregate emissions, it would be much more acceptable. It is obviously a fact that carbon leakage is a risk that needs to be addressed, and that threatens to undermine the efficiency of Green Deal policies. But the way it is put here, we think this is factually no longer in line. So this is something we would like to signal here. But yeah, with this being said, as mentioned, we welcome the opinion, and we again changes that we had.
Thank you very much. In some way, I think it's sometimes very good when we do not agree on everything. That's bring us to even more communication and dialogue, and in this way we can find the right solution for everybody. So I think that you will be discussing this, and I will give you afterwards for your reactions. Now I would like to open the discussion, general discussion of our members and delegates. So I'm opening the possibility to ask for the word. Okay, so if you want to speak, you have to press the button. And now I am closing this opportunity, and I am giving the word to Stéphane.
Oui, merci. J'aimerais mettre en relation deux points des conclusions. Le point 1.2 et le point 1.7. 1.2, il est dit que les institutions de l'Union européenne devraient encourager la création d'un écosystème industriel européen favorable. Bon. En vérité, pendant longtemps, ce n'a pas été le cas. Les institutions européennes, notamment la Commission européenne, insistaient surtout sur les avantages de ce que Kant appelait le doux commerce. Donc tout était mis, ou l'accent était principalement mis sur les échanges mondialisés, quitte à voir le déménagement des entreprises industrielles européennes ailleurs, et notamment vers l'Asie. Et je le mets en relation avec le point 7, qui dit qu'il faut rendre attrayantes les carrières industrielles pour les jeunes et les anciens d'ailleurs. Or, il y a eu un phénomène tout à fait normal d'ailleurs et classique, à partir du moment où on considérait que finalement l'industrie c'était l'économie du passé, celle d'hier, et que l'économie de demain c'était les services et la communication. Bien entendu, en tout cas les jeunes gens, dans le choix de leur carrière, de leurs études, ne se sont pas dirigés vers les carrières industrielles. Et on a perdu des compétences. Ça a été le cas aussi dans certaines filières d'énergie. Par exemple, l'énergie nucléaire, on sait que c'était un fleuron français. Bon, il y a eu un moment où on a un peu laissé tomber l'énergie nucléaire. Et ben, les jeunes ingénieurs se disaient il y aura plus d'avenir, plus d'offres d'emploi intéressantes. Donc, ils sont pas dirigés vers ces filières. Et on a perdu des compétences et on a pris du retard. Et un retard qui est difficile à rattraper. Et donc, je pense qu'il faut faire extrêmement attention. Je pense qu'il y a eu une erreur d'appréciation, honnêtement, des institutions européennes et de la Commission européenne, qui a trop insisté sur les services et qu'une économie de services n'est dynamique et solide que si elle repose sur une base industrielle qui est forte. Quand je dis forte, ça ne veut pas dire qu'elle soit étendue, mais qui est solide, qui est robuste.
Thank you, Stéphane. Now, Jean-Michel.
Que j'ai beaucoup apprécié de travailler dans ce groupe pour donner un avis sur les dialogues sur la transition. Je veux juste rappeler quand même deux choses qui semblent essentielles. C'est que pour réussir la réindustrialisation de l'Europe, il faut se mobiliser sur 3 fronts simultanément. Des financements publics et privés, l'accélération et la simplification des procédures d'autorisation et le développement des compétences, comme l'a dit le collègue. C'est-à-dire que ça peut sembler aller de soi, mais ce point-là, il est incontournable. On connaît des entreprises en France qui refusent des commandes, vous m'entendez, refusent des commandes, et donc perdent des marchés faute de personnel. Il faut ne pas oublier que ce soit pour l'industrie, mais aussi pour l'agriculture, il est clair que toutes les contraintes imposées au nom de l'environnement ont mécaniquement un impact sur les coûts de production, donc sur la compétitivité. Ceci dit, les atouts de la réindustrialisation, c'est qu'on recommence enfin à penser à produire au plus près du consommateur, ne serait-ce que par comparaison de l'empreinte carbone de la production en Europe par opposition à celle des produits importés. Merci.
Thank you, Jean-Michel. And now Matteo Carlo.
Thank you, President. I will be very brief. I just want to congratulate the rapporteur and the co-rapporteur because for me it's an excellent opinion. I would say no news, good news, in the sense that I don't find any particular news on your opinion, but the simplicity of the truth, something that should be done, has to be done. And Mr. Draghi and Mr. Letta wrote in their report, by the way, and let's hope that your opinion will be as concrete as possible for the future and for the coming European Commission. Just pick up 2 points among the most that I could, but just to be brief. The permitting and bureaucracy, we will have a commissioner for simplification. Let's hope that really we can improve on this, because otherwise it will be impossible to reach the targets that the EU has on climate change. And the financing tool. Again, Mr. Draghi wrote very clearly, we'll need a major effort, both private and public, to finance and to reach the clean transition. Thank you for your work, and you definitely have my support.
Thank you. Now Antonello Pezzini.
Grazie Presidente. Trovo molto utile il parere perché fa da cassa di risonanza al grande lavoro che la Commissione ha fatto dal 10 ottobre del 23 all'8 aprile del 24, nei quali 7 mesi ha affrontato appunto 7 argomenti di importanza vitale, partendo dall'idrogeno e finendo sulla mobilità pulita, dei quali il Comitato ha fatto una cassa di risonanza, quindi va bene. C'è solo un problema che non condivido all'interno del parere. 2 volte il parere affronta il CBAM. Il CBAM come strumento ottenuto dall'Europa di controllo alle frontiere, di dazio alle frontiere di 7 prodotti. Vi parlo con competenza, io faccio parte a Roma del Comitato Nazionale dell'ETS 2, quindi la direttiva la 959-2023, e faccio parte all'interno del trattamento del CBAM come elemento fondamentale. È positivo il CBAM, mentre nelle premesse voi dite una cosa vera che io condivido, che il CBAM deve avere una maggiore attenzione per i prodotti che vengono esportati, ed è vero, ed è la Commissione, già la DG Ambiente Braidel 2 sta affrontando questo problema, perché deve dare indicazioni a noi nazionali che deteniamo il registro del CBAM. Mentre è sbagliato quello che voi dite nel punto 332, dove dite inoltre, facendo aumentare in modo significativo il costo delle materie prime nell'Unione dell'ETS, e questo è giusto perché il fattore lineare dal 4,3 dal 24-27 passerà al 4,4 dal 2028, è giusto. È sbagliato quando voi dite che in combinazione con il CBAM, citando dopo i prodotti dell'acciaio e dell'alluminio, che sono 2 dei 7 prodotti che noi tassiamo alle frontiere. Quindi questo incasso in combinazione con l'ICMA è sbagliato, secondo me. Non ho fatto un emendamento, però toglie valore a quello che voi dite nella premessa, cioè che diventa più costoso. L'ETS 2 è più costoso dell'ETS 1, è vero, ma non il CBAM. Il CBAM, soprattutto per l'importazione, ci mette una tassa all'alluminio, al ferro, all'acciaio, ai fertilizzanti, all'idrogeno, all'energia, i 7 prodotti che voi giustamente dite che sono fondamentali. Quindi il CBAM in questo caso è positivo, per cui secondo me questo incasso è sbagliato. Per il resto sono d'accordo sul parere. Grazie Presidente.
Thank you, Antonello. And now Renata.
Yes, thank you for the floor. I have a small comment to the point 1.3. It's the last bullet. Let me to read it. Increased use of wood-based renewable products to reduce fossil-based products in energy construction and other areas. Yes, of course, it's a good idea, but where to get enough wood for all this? Think, for example, for biomass, for co-firing it in coal-fired power plants. Of course, in the point 361, you have written that 45% of EU territory is covered by forest. Yes, but at the same time, you have written that it's an important CO2 to think. This is important. And so we have to go to a certain extent, and because we all know how long trees grow.
Thank you, Renata. And now Eija Rita.
Thank you very much. I support the message of our rapporteur on carbon leakage. It's most relevant, and it remains to be relevant as long as our measures are not comparable or on the same level with our competitors. As long as this continues like this, we are giving competitive advantage to others, and unfortunately, they are not democratic parts in this world. Unilateral measures remain counterproductive and worsen the problem because it's global by nature and not local. I'm former lawmaker in climate politics since the first emissions trade scheme, and I was doing that for 50 years. I also made a doctoral thesis on the EU performance in our climate. And I remember that the Commission and the environmental NGOs denied the leakage during the very first years. And I think it was for ideological reasons. They wanted to defend their baby. And they tried to define the carbon leakage in a way that it is difficult to prove. Of course, we cannot trace all the backgrounds of investment decisions because there are multiple of them. And if this is asked, we can never find out if there was carbon leakage or not. But it is evident if we look at the costs caused by climate politics, direct and indirect costs. It's evident. And this can be seen also from the statistics. In my doctoral thesis, I studied the EU performance during our first decade of climate policy and ETS. And if you looked at the statistics of international trade, it was pretty clear that our climate measures were not efficient in the light of the result. We indeed managed to reduce our domestic emissions by reducing our domestic production, but indeed we imported more goods from third countries, and this annulled our achievements. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Alain Takwen.
Oui, bonjour, je vais m'exprimer en français. Donc d'abord, je voudrais remercier les rapporteurs et les co-rapporteurs pour le travail qu'on a fait ensemble. Je trouve qu'en participant à ce groupe, il y a eu une grande écoute et des débats extrêmement intéressants. Donc merci beaucoup. Quelques commentaires. Déjà, bon, autre élément très positif que je trouve également dans ce rapport, c'est des choses qui sont en avance par rapport aux lettres qui ont été envoyées aux différents commissaires, hein, notamment la demande d'un soutien à l'électrification. Soyons clairs, aujourd'hui, l'industrie électrique investit beaucoup en production et en réseau, et des efforts supplémentaires sont nécessaires. C'est de l'énergie produite localement, qui n'est pas importée, qui est décarbonée. Et le problème qu'on a, c'est que la demande ne suit pas aujourd'hui. Et donc il est important qu'on mette en place des politiques de soutien à l'électrification. Et la Commission l'a parfaitement vu, puisqu'elle a demandé au commissaire à l'énergie de faire un plan d'électrification. Et nous l'avions mis dans notre rapport auparavant. Voilà. Autre élément extrêmement important également dans ce rapport, c'est le soutien aux sources low carbone, ce qui dans le langage bruxellois veut dire renouvelable et nucléaire. Là aussi, c'est une grande évolution. Quand j'ai commencé à travailler dans le milieu ici il y a quelques années, prononcer le mot nucléaire dans une instance à Bruxelles, c'était l'assurance de ne pas être réinvité, et voire d'être exclu de la réunion quelquefois. Donc là-dessus, je pense qu'on a une vraie évolution extrêmement positive, et on tient également à remercier, je dirais, la Commission et pour cette acceptation maintenant de l'ensemble des sources bas carbone qui sont nécessaires à la transition énergétique. Et là aussi, notre institution l'avait déjà parfaitement mis dans son rapport donc, à l'époque. Un point également sur les politiques climatiques. Là, j'entends beaucoup de critiques des politiques climatiques. Il est vrai, et absolument vrai, que l'industrie électrique s'est décarbonée. C'est de la production locale. Nous avions des émissions de carbone extrêmement importantes en production électrique ces dernières années. Un très grand nombre de pays, et si je voudrais citer l'Allemagne ici, a fait des efforts extrêmement forts en décarbonation de son industrie, de son production électrique. Et donc il y a un vrai succès de la politique climatique européenne dans la production d'énergie en Europe. Et nous avons de plus en plus une production locale d'énergie décarbonée dont nous devons tirer profit afin de moins dépendre des énergies fossiles. On a vu avec la crise du gaz russe le risque qu'on avait à en dépendre.
Thank you. And last but not least, Grace.
Thank you for giving me the floor. Your opinion, your draft opinion, dates back a few months. And maybe at present you are thinking of how this can be developed further. I mean, we're talking about the original draft was in sometime in March, April. Later, July, all right, I am mistaken then. But I wanted to intervene because since then, and since the previous opinion that we discussed, because there is a very strong link between them, we have come across deluges, overpowering water struggles, destruction of nature because of exaggerated rainfalls, etc., etc. Do you have in mind that you as a group can prepare an opinion to deal with this disastrous situation all over the world, but my major concern is obviously Europe. Perhaps you need to think about it. We all know the results of all this heavy rainfall and the damages, the costs, the economical aspects, etc., etc. But thank you very much for your opinion.
Thank you, Grace. We can see that this opinion is really bringing a lot of discussion, and I think it's a really very positive one. We have not to forget that, as I was already mentioned in the beginning, that there have been 9 clean transition dialogues on hydrogen, energy-intensive industries, clean tech, energy infrastructure, critical raw materials, forest-based bioeconomy, cities, clean mobility, steel. And it was really a very hard job for the rapporteur and co-rapporteur to bring all these dialogues in one paper. And I think the most important is for me that these dialogues took place and that society has been really part of these dialogues. So now I would like to give the word to, would you like from the Commission to react on something? No, then to rapporteur and co-rapporteur to make their reactions.
Thank you, President. Maybe I take different comments. Maybe to the comment by the European Commission. I'm curious to look at your data and let's compare. But when I see that in 2022, half of aluminium basically went off the grid. Aluminium is very energy intensive. If you don't use the electricity on that, you have a huge reduction in emissions. Is this a good thing? No, in that way. So. Eya made a point. We need to see how we measure this. Maybe you have a different metrics, but I see a huge loss of productive capacity, and and we need to see what we import there. So yeah, I'm happy to carry on this discussion. But I would like to stick by the original statement because this is all the evidence we have from our members. Now, I'm starting with the difficult ones. Antonello, you said that CBAM is offering a solution on exports in DG Environment. That's not the case as far as I know. It's DG Taxud, which has it. There's no solution on exports because it's deemed to be incompatible with WTO. And, that's a killer for many industries. I can tell you in Greece, 50% of cement goes to non-EU countries. You're going to lose the free allowances, increase of cost of production, loss of markets, And by the time, you've lost those markets, like anything which might come later, is problematic. And the other thing you said was that we're only focusing on steel and aluminium. This was in the clean transition dialogues. I know it has other segments inside, but I'm happy to discuss with you later on to see, to understand better your concerns, But yeah, on the wood-based solutions, this is something the co-rapporteur will take. He mentioned something about nuclear. Of course, I mean, there will be a big role for nuclear. And actually, we need, this gives me a pass to open another topic, that we have a lack of baseload in the EU. I mean, we have a very positive development that we have a lot of renewables, and this is augmenting, very quickly. But as long as you rely on baseload, this is what determines the price of electricity, and we still are faced with extremely high prices of electricity, which is making us non-competitive. So nuclear, of course, is a solution for the countries who can do it. Apart from that, there was a comment on, we should focus more on the production of goods as opposed to only services. Fully agree. I think this is where we're going, and I think the European Commission has taken good steps there with the Net Zero Industry Act and the Critical Raw Materials Act, and of course, permitting skills, all hugely important. So thank you for your comments, and I'll pass it to the co-rapporteur.
Thank you. Again, I agree with Stefan that training is one of the areas that we need to concentrate. Most countries, our own country, same, everyone wants to go to university. No one wants to get skilled in welding or heavy metal, and we need those skills. It's very important. Jean-Michel, you summed it up in reindustrialization, private and public investment, simplify permitting and training. That's what the document is about. Those three words sum it all up. And again, some matter said the truth, and that's all we're trying to say, that we have to solve permitting and bureaucracy. And you referred to the fact that there's going to be a commissioner. Well, I'm involved in agriculture for over 40 years, and every time a commissioner says he's going to simplify, he produces about 10,000 documents, and we have twice as much inspections and paperwork when it's done. So I've never seen any of them succeed. That's a flaw at both commission level and at government level. People love bureaucracy, except for the people trying to make a living. Antonella, I'm not the expert, the rapporteur is the expert in that place. And Renata, the increased use of wood, and the President referred, there's a very good opinion on wood already. And we're saying it can replace, I agree with you, there is a slow time frame for growing, and there's also a problem around permitting there also. While we're saying we're in favour of more forestry, when you go to apply for forestry, it can take 3 to 5 years to get bloody permission to do, which is ridiculous. And it takes longer to get permission to clear fell and replant, which is bureaucracy gone mad again. I agree with Rita that I believe carbon leakage is a real thing. While we might like to deny it, the reality is we do trade deals with Mercosur, we do trade deals with Indonesia, imports, Australia, New Zealand. A lot of those are linked to deforestation. So if we count all that, and if we replace by reducing fertilizer production in Europe, importing it from Russia with a higher carbon footprint, importing beef from South America that's linked to deforestation, we have to ask questions of how the Commission counts up. Again, I agree with Elaine, electrification, we have many more low carbon, but again, the permitting is creating a problem. We have plans, the Nordic countries have loads of plans for a lot more offshore energy, but the permitting is taking too long. And Grace, of course, all opinions need to be developed further, and the President of CCMI said that when the rapporteur and myself said we needed more than 18,000 characters. He said there will be more opinions looking at this. So I want to thank everyone for their comments, and I forgot to thank the Secretariat earlier on and the two experts for the huge help we got. And I'd like to thank everyone for their comments. Thank you, President.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the presentation of the opinion. I would like also to thank the Commission for participating at this meeting. And now I would like to proceed with the voting. So I'm opening the voting for the delegates. The vote is open. And so only the delegates right now. And the vote is closed. So it's 27 for and one abstention. And now I'm opening for members. The voting is opened. Is it functioning?
No, it doesn't work. So
okay.
Plus
one as well. Okay, so only members right now. And the vote it's closed. And we have got 26 for yes. Okay, so passed. Congratulations. And it was a very, very lovely discussion. So now I have really very positive information for Florian, who has 1 hour for the presentation of his NAT own initiative opinion. So you can come here next to me. No? Yeah. So take as much time as you need, and as far as we will have time, I will maybe open for a little bit discussions to plenum as well.
Yes, sorry. Good morning, dear colleagues, to discuss 1 hour about biodiversity. Well, it will not be enough, but anyway, let's start to enter into the details. So, not present. We had an own initiative opinion which was approved. And it is correlated with it was approved in the last plenary. I was the president of the study group. And it is correlated with the ongoing events which are taking place globally. The opinion is linked to, the name of the opinion is a comprehensive strategy for biodiversity at COP16. Well, the idea of biodiversity is that especially if you are looking at the Draghi report and the next mandate of the Commission, biodiversity will be huge, a hot topic and very debated. Because we have to take into account our relation with biodiversity, the relation of the industries with biodiversity, if it is a burden or if it is not a burden, and how this will affect the competitivity of our economy. We are delivering some answers in our opinion concerning these questions, because we think that we have to stay aligned with the message of other opinions which are dealing with biodiversity. So from our committee's perspective, because the opinion has been already approved, we are part of the nature, and the nature is being right now destroyed in this moment due to the pollution, climate change, and in this context, biodiversity loss is an unprecedented rate, and is putting pressure on the existential threat of the humanity. Well, the loss of biodiversity has an impact on the loss of raw material, for example. But we can continue in this regard. The triple planetary crisis must be tackled in a systemic way. We are mentioning this in several opinions, and we have to take into account all the territorial levels. We have to take into account that we need a reform concerning the governance and a more robust and also ethic financial architecture, because it is difficult for some industries to access the financial loans or the capital market in order to be more sustainable and to have a production process which is not affecting the biodiversity. Because they are not, the return of investment is not that good, they are not offering enough guarantees and things like that. So the idea of having a more inclusive financial system, it is important, and it is highlighted in our opinion. We are calling for a progressive phase out of environmental harm subsidies which are affecting negatively the environment. And we had discussed about water opinion. Well, the most common example is that we are using subsidies for under CAP without taking into account the impact of water. We are financing basically the competitivity and the production at the farm level, but we are not taking into account how much water that water efficiency that farm is delivering, or how much water is using. But we can continue with different examples. So basically, we need to have more coherence when we are subsidizing the some industries. Sorry. It was a different opinion from my perspective as a president of the study group, because the hearing was not a traditional hearing. We had a sort of a hearing which was quite interactive. Basically, it was structured as a workshop, and we had invited 40 civil society organizations, and around 15 of them have participated. Basically, it was a hearing in which the stakeholders were available to discuss with us, to debate with us, and it was quite interactive in a way in which we can. It was structured in a way in which you could find common ground, or we could debate different options and different angles concerning the point of view. Then, in our opinion, we are mentioning that it is crucial to rethink our relationship with nature, and we have to take into account that we need to have a medium and long-term perspective and a holistic approach in our path towards protection of the biodiversity. And of course, young people must be involved in the process. Again, what was different in this opinion is that the expert was a representative of the youth organization. It was a young person, and we are calling, and this is quite important in our opinion, to have an executive vice president for future generation under the European Commission. Because if you are looking right now at the structure of the Commission, well, we are targeting just transition, less social dialogue and workers' rights. But it is not transmitting a clear message about the future and how the future will look like. I think that we need to have, at least we have a duty for the younger generations to transmit trust concerning the future of the EU. Then, this was the general approach. What is relevant for CCMI, and I think it is highly important, is that the biodiversity loss is not only environmental issue. We have to take into account that it has great economic and social consequences, which is affecting the markets, which is affecting the industry, which is affecting the way we are producing and the way we are selling our products and services. Actually, it is estimated that more than 50% of the global GDP depends on the nature, and 40% of the jobs globally directly depend on healthy ecosystems. And again, I will give you the example of water and the role of the water in the energy sector in this, or in the textiles, because we have mentioned also energy, but also textiles. It is hugely important, and the water is crucial also for the biodiversity. So you see, the relation is quite obvious. Then we think that we need to take into account all the aspects when we are discussing about, and all the perspectives when we are discussing about climate policies, and we need to assure a long-term solutions for the future. And those long-term solutions should also integrate dedicated budget for transition. Because this transition is not necessarily something which it is attached to the energy sector, as we are seeing right now. In fact, the just transition mechanism should be, in our perspective, extended to other sectors which will have a lot of challenges in order to become more sustainable. And I will remind you an own initiative opinion proposed by me and one of my colleagues from the group 3, Kerley, which was approved in the last plenary, which is also dealing with, it is advocating the need of just transition in the agri-food systems. So the just transition mechanism has a clear relation with biodiversity, and we need to extend it also to other sectors. And I will give you again textiles, which is an economic sector directly linked with agriculture, and can suffer and will suffer if we will not have a just transition in this regard. Then we have to take into account the risk generated by biodiversity loss in relation with certain communities. And I will give you an example, forest, for example, and the forest communities. They are depending on forest, and the loss of biodiversity will deteriorate, will decrease the quality of life for those communities. Of course, that we have to take this into account, highlighting the need of extending just transition. And in the end, because I'm open to different point of view in this regard, the 2022 Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework adopted at COP15 the UN Convention on Biological Diversity, which is specific, or which is highlighting the need of mobilization, of a strong mobilization when in relation with biodiversity loss, and the need of protecting biodiversity in our path towards sustainability. Also, that in a perspective or in a framework in which we are protecting the industries, not necessarily, I don't know, butterflies or lions or elephants or whatever referrals we can do to biodiversity. And the relation with biodiversity loss with SDGs, it is also important, and our objective in having a climate neutral economy by 2050. We have a biodiversity plan which is delivering key elements for 2050, and also another 23 targets for 2030. So it's not something abstract when we are discussing about biodiversity. It's something very concrete which will affect our industries. And the opinion is clearly linked with the future of COP16 will take place on 21 of October in Colombia, and our committee will participate in order to present the opinion. This presentation is from my perspective, it's a question mark, or not necessarily a question mark. It's an appeal to you when we are discussing about own initiative opinion, the future own initiative opinion, that we have to take into account biodiversity in the relation with the industries. Why? Because it will be hugely debated. It will be a topic which will enter into our radar, and we have to be prepared in order to respond from an industrial perspective and take into account the specificity of this industry. I can continue with several examples. I don't know, constructions, because we have mentioned construction, and forest, and we can water and agriculture, water and textiles, water and energy, and I can continue in this regard. So this is what our opinion is about. I'm at your disposal for answering questions concerning the opinion and concerning the topics as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Florian. I will open not really a discussion, but if somebody of you would like to react what you have heard, but not opening a discussion. So Florian will not answer you during the plenary meeting, but if you then at the corridors when you want to make the answers, it will be possible. But so does anybody want to just make some remarks on this presentation? It seems not. Okay, so in that case, thank you very much. As you said, you are at the disposal for everybody to discuss it. I think it was a very good idea to not to forget about diversity when preparing the new OIOs for 2025. And this is, I'm recalling this information. Please do not forget till 14th of October, 5 p.m., you have to send your proposals for OIOs. And in this respect, I will now close this morning session. Thank you very much for participating, and I hope to see you at 2:30 in this room again. We will adopt the opinion on Industry 5.0, which will be followed by the discussion with the representatives of the Commission. Thank you so much.